My name is Kirk Elysian from the OpenAI education team. ChatGPT is an AI companion that can really help you be more creative and more productive while still keeping your tone of voice and your teaching style. Whether you need help with drafting lesson plans, analyzing student writing, prepping parent newsletters, or generating classroom materials, ChatGPT EDU is here to support the way that you work. Think of it as a co-teacher who's available 24/7, enhancing your teaching while keeping your voice and values front and center. Let's start today by exploring how to navigate the interface. At the center of your screen is the chat window. This is your main space for interacting with ChatGPT. Just type in a question or instruction, and ChatGPT will start to respond. You'll also see a new chat icon up here in the top left. This lets you start fresh anytime. The text you enter to engage with ChatGPT is called a prompt, and crafting effective prompts, known as prompt engineering, helps you get the most useful and relevant responses. For example, today, let's start by typing a question like, how can ChatGPT help me as a fifth grade science teacher? I'll click into a version of this chat that I created earlier today for time's sake. This is so that we don't have to wait for ChatGPT to think and write out a response. You'll see that ChatGPT listed out support for lesson planning, gave some ideas for instructional materials, how you could use ChatGPT for student engagement, experiments, assessment, and feedback. There's a lot in here. Top tip, if you're ever unsure what ChatGPT can do for you, just ask it. Explain your role and it'll walk you through some solutions step by step. Coming back into the interface here, up in the top right corner, you'll see a circular icon. This identifies your account. From here, you can customize your ChatGPT experience by clicking Customize ChatGPT. Custom instructions here allow you to tell ChatGPT more about your teaching style, your grade level, the kinds of support you prefer from an AI tool. This will ensure that the responses feel really relevant to your classroom environment, the way that you teach, and the way you like to get responses. So I've told it I'm a fifth grade teacher. I appreciate ChatGPT being encouraging, being grade appropriate, explaining concepts step by step, using visuals or examples, being curious and supportive like a patient tutor. Anything else that ChatGPT should know? I told it I'm a fifth grade science teacher. I value clear explanations, curiosity, and student-friendly language. I often need help planning engaging lessons, experiments, and science-related writing prompts. This will help ChatGPT in its future responses knowing what your role is, who you are in the school, what types of traits that you like to respond with. We recommend that you update your custom instructions as soon as you can. This will help you get the most customized version possible of ChatGPT. On the left here is your chat history. This is great for revisiting previous questions or ideas. You can go back to prior conversations at any time, and if a chat's deleted, it can still be retrieved by you and your admin later. Projects will sit just above your chat history, and it helps you keep your workspace organized. You can group chats by unit, by subject, or school initiative. You can even upload relevant files like a syllabus or a rubric, and even set shared instructions on how ChatGPT should respond within this specific project. Above projects are your pinned GPTs. These are customized assistants for repeatable tasks that you can create. Your school can also create them for you. An idea here is a parent newsletter GPT, one that can help you write newsletters and communications out to the parents of your students. We'll cover GPTs in a separate video in a little bit more detail. Next, I'd love to demonstrate how to upload a writing sample and then have ChatGPT save your writing style to its memory and use it to build future communications in your tone of voice. So I'm going to start by uploading a sample of my writing. I can just drag and drop and it'll go directly in there. Here's a sample. I'll ask it to please analyze my tone of voice, sentence structure, and vocabulary. Learn this style so that you can use it in future responses and make sure to add this to your memory. Telling ChatGPT to save something in its memory means that it'll remember it for future correspondence. We'll go into a version I did of this earlier today. You can see that it notes as having updated saved memory. It'll share some findings on how it thinks that you write. So it says that you prefer a reflective, authentic, and thoughtful writing style. It says that my tone is warm and insightful with a focus on real classroom moments and student growth. It goes into a bit more detail as well. I then prompted it to repeat back to me what it thinks that my writing style is. This helps me make sure that it's really understanding and aligned with my expectations of how I write. Next, I want it to write me a newsletter to the parents of my fifth grade science class explaining how well the class did on their most recent electricity and magnetism exam. You'll see that the output in the response is a pretty non-ChatGPT-esque language. It really closely reflects the writing sample that I uploaded earlier in this chat. And then lastly, to keep it accountable, I can ask it to run a self-evaluation of how closely its response matched my tone of voice. It thinks it did a pretty good job, but it also found some room for improvement that it'll use in future responses. Feel free to upload as many writing samples as you want. It'll save it to its memory and it'll better reflect your tone of voice going forward. Before we dive into more examples here, just want to call out ChatGPT is smart, but it's not perfect. It might sound confident and it can still be wrong when it sounds confident. So always review important outputs before using them directly, especially when creating materials for families, for students, or anything that might be kind of official documentation. Great. So let's say you jotted down some rough notes from a professional development session and you wanted to turn them into something more usable, maybe to share with your team or to keep for documentation. So I'll put in this prompt. I have rough notes below. Can you rewrite them into a structured, clear, and concise summary? Please include key points, explanations, and any missing transitions to make the content flow logically. And then I'll paste in my notes. So these are sample notes from a personal development session with Rachel. So that we don't have to wait for ChatGPT to fully respond, I'll open up an example of me doing this earlier. You'll see that ChatGPT did a great job turning this into a clearer summary. You could save these responses in a project labeled maybe professional development and revisit later, or you could summarize it in an email to share it directly with a teacher or student. Feel free to just ask ChatGPT to do that as a next step. Awesome. Turning handwritten work into digital text. So if a student turned in a handwriting assignment, or if you have photos of a classroom whiteboard, you can upload an image and ask ChatGPT to convert it into text. So I'm doing this on the web app today on chatgpt.com, but you could also upload the picture directly from your phone onto ChatGPT's mobile app. This might be an easier way to take a photo. So I'll upload an image with a prompt, convert these whiteboard notes to text. And I'll include, again, dragging and dropping, a photo of a whiteboard that I took earlier today. We'll press send, and then we'll click into an example from earlier today where ChatGPT had already responded. So this response is really great for accessibility, for creating digital portfolios, for documenting what you handwrite in class. Vision capabilities like this really can unlock a lot of potential here, especially for those who really like to handwrite, whether it's a student or a professor who loves a chalkboard or a whiteboard. Going into the next demo here, ChatGPT can also help you write clear and professional, even supportive messages to families. So let's try generating some really brief report card comments. So I'll put in this prompt. I'm writing report card comments for a fifth grader named Mia. She's enthusiastic about learning, but she sometimes struggles with focus, but always shows growth and effort. Can you draft a strengths-based professional comment I can use? Going into a message I sent earlier today with the same comment, you can see that ChatGPT outputted a really professional comment that you could use for Mia. It does a great job of summarizing what you want to say, putting into a better format that's clearer, professional, easier to digest. We think this is a really big time saver. You can tweak the voice as well if you don't like the way that it responded. Ask for alternate versions, maybe that align with your school's language guidelines for report cards. Feel free to really get customized here. Last of the day. Let's say you're preparing to teach Esperanza Rising, or could be any other novel if you're not familiar with that, but you want ChatGPT to help you build some discussion questions to help plan a mini lesson, scaffold for emerging readers. So we'll copy this prompt into here. I'm teaching Esperanza Rising to seventh graders. Can you give me a summary of major themes, a warm-up discussion activity, three open-ended questions aligned to those themes, a quick quiz, and a graphic organizer? Again, we'll open a chat from earlier today. This example just really shows how quickly ChatGPT can help you to prep classroom materials, especially when you're juggling multiple preps or even covering for a colleague, and maybe they're somewhere in the course that you haven't covered in a while. We'll see that major themes surfaced. There's a warm-up discussion, just like we asked. some open-ended questions, a quick quiz to test on concepts learned, and a graphic organizer. Thanks so much for joining today. Remember, as you leave, that ChatGPT is a support tool. It's not a replacement for your professional expertise. The best results really come here when you bring your teaching lens to the conversation. So we encourage you to try customizing your instructions, start a few conversations, explore how ChatGPT can maybe save you time and enhance your impact. And we hope you have fun with it in the process. Thanks for listening.